Oh.
You're an enemy combatant of the United States of the New Globe. I will not read you your rights. You don't have any rights. You will be detained indefinitely. Say goodbye to life as you know it. Say goodbye.
And welcome to Waking Up the Masses, right here again on truthfrequencyradio.com. I am your host, Robert Bruce. Got my good friend in tow here, Mr. John LeBang. How are you doing, Mr. LeBang?
I'm doing very well, Mr. Robert the Bruce. How are you today?
Are you still hashtag banging?
How hashtag banger, man, not banging.
Oh, banger. I'm sorry.
Banger, yep.
Where's my mind? Welcome, guys. Welcome to Waking Up the Masses. As I said, right here on Truth Frequency Radio. John, I'm just disturbed, man. I really am disturbed. I'm driving down the street. And and this is no lie. This was earlier today. I had to get out and do a few things, and I'm driving down the road. And I'm watching this kid. Well, he's not a kid. His school's in session. You can tell he's 19, 20, something like that. He got his little backpacks thrown over his back. And he's got his smartphone in his hand. I mean, if I could have gotten this on video, it would have been great. He's got his smartphone in his hand. The right leg, he's on the right side of the road, and there's quite a big ditch there. And the right leg, you see it catches right on the soft portion. It catches right on the soft portion. There he goes. I mean, it's like I stopped. I looked to make sure that, because it's kind of a deep ditch. It's been raining a lot, too, so you can imagine.
Smartphone dumb people, what can I say?
It's so wrapped up in this, man. See, that's the amazing thing. As a culture, we've become so wrapped up in our little devices. We think we're smart because of our little smartphones.
You know what's funny is, it's not even 25 years ago where those things didn't even exist for any of us. Like, the average person didn't even think to carry a mobile
Spock never
device.
bumped into anything carrying around the tricorder, man. Come on.
But Spock was the illumined man. He knew better. Kirk might fall off a cliff here and there, though.
But, smart drones. I found this article earlier today. Smart drones. Hey, smart drones that think and learn like us to launch this year. How about that, John? They
Cool,
can think
man.
like you. It says mini drones with neural hardware that works like a brain could be in the skies within months and carrying out door-to-door deliveries or monitor crops.
Well, if there's enough of them in the air, maybe people get disgusted with them and do what that guy in California did and shot it down out of the air.
Indeed. Indeed. This really gets to just we're living in a world of dumbed down individuals. We're living in a world, people should read the protocols, learned elders of the Scion, or whatever you want to call it, wherever you want to say the document came from. And they express this idea that, yes, these people are dumb. That's what they say, they call them sheep. They call them sheep. They say these people are dumb. They'll do whatever we say. And then, hey, maybe if the idea is, as far as the government goes, the idea is a little bit too risque, we'll throw it out there in the media. We'll also throw it out there in the media and see how that pans out, and let them get adapted to it. Let them get adapted to this new way. It's always been the way. People just need to get adapted, man. They just need to change. Have you noticed that? See, that's the new.
Yeah.
That's their new evolution. That's the new evolution of the new man, is changing and being a quiet little shut the heck up and sit over in the corner type of human. That's the new man. That is the new human.
And if the new way doesn't work, then we'll bring back some of the old ways and repackage them as new, and we'll use them.
Yeah, indeed. That's why you hear all the depopulation theories, and we know. We look at the head of the environmental thing at the UN. I think that's what she's head of. Can't remember her name. We look at a lot of the writings of different people. We can look at the Georgia Guidestones. Then we see it's like,
come on, that's a hoax, man. Come on, that's a hoax.
You know what irritates me? I live literally an hour's drive from the Guidestones. Literally an hour's drive. And, when you're there, you can look around. There's cameras. They are watching you, whoever owns that little private piece of land. They are watching you.
But it's been vandalized, right? I believe.
That's what irritates me. That's what irritates me. This is not the way you play the game, man.
Right.
That's what they want individuals to do.
Mm-hmm.
They want you to be impulsive. They want you to go, oh my God, look what they're taking from me. Look at all my freedom they're taking from me. I got to do something very, very impulsive, go off the handle, and then they say, oh gosh, look at these poor, dumb people. Let us manage your freedom for a little while. You need some security, so let us manage your freedom. And isn't it interesting that we also, along with all the new little technology and spying aspects we have, you got the Congress, the Patriot comes up. It's time for it to expire.
Oh, that's going to pass in flying colors.
Indeed, it will, man.
60%. You want to take? I'm taking bets on it. 60%.
I say more. I say more.
Really?
I say they'll come out with something, but and they'll probably revise it. They're going to use all these things, such as the big ISIS threat. And they're going to use all these things, such as global warming. They'll say, oh, we need a new kind of security legislation. For you, man. For you, for me. So we're not, shall we say, hurt. We can't let anything hurt us. We can't let baby fall down. Oh, pick it up. Oh gosh. See, that's really what they have brought humans down to. The baby that falls down.
They got to protect you.
Yeah,
Man.
the baby that falls down. He's not hurt, but he cries for attention. We become so narcissistic, but at the same time, we become so dumbed down. We become so dumbed down, and I thought that was an excellent example. Dogs playing in the background. I thought that was an excellent example that I saw today. This young man just walking down the street. You could tell him he was moving fast too, man. I mean, he was actually kind of good at this. You could tell he was traversing everything and still looking at that smartphone, just punching away with his thumbs, just going at it. And then
it's good he doesn't have a car, though.
Indeed. Oh, man, you would not believe. I'm on the road a lot driving around here. You would not believe the people that you'll see swerve over into your lane. And, when you pass them and you look over, what's in their hand? Where are they looking at? Are they looking at the road? Gosh, no. God,
I hate going out.
I was in a wreck. It's almost 2 years ago. Well, a little bit over a year ago. I was in a wreck. I can count on one hand how many I've had in my life. So it's very, very, very few. Knock on wood. But I was in a wreck. It was officially my fault. Officially my fault. The way the dynamics of you pull out, you're in front of somebody, you get hit. Now, unofficially, it's very interesting when you saw the other person's car and her windshield was cracked. Her windshield is cracked. Now, was it cracked from her head? No. It was cracked from the smartphone, slamming against the windshield. It was a pretty high impact crash we had, but nobody was seriously hurt or anything like that. But it was, boom, right there. You saw it. You saw exactly what had happened. I saw it at the moment of crash. It's like, this is the bad thing. This is the bad thing in society. We have, not only are we dependent upon machines, not only are we becoming so dependent upon spell check, but not only are we so dependent upon these machines, they are making us so stupid you fall into a ditch. So stupid you fall into a ditch. So, and I love technology. Don't get me wrong, guys. I love technology. I know you do too. In this day and age of recording and everything, it's broadcasting, so forth and so on. Oh man, technology has just really, I cannot, as much as I loved my old back in the 90s, as far as recording music, as much as I love my old 8-track, it still is not the same. 8-track recorder, it's still not the same as using software that you have nowadays. The things you can do with it, the things that you can tweak, and all these things. It's just amazing. So I think technology's great. I just think the man hasn't, we still can't make the spear. Modern day man can still not make the spear.
No, I agree. And for me, I still go through very much an old school setup to come broadcast out here. It's really old mixers and old compressors and all that stuff. I like the Pro Tools and all the the modern gadgets, but there's some things they do lack. You know, there's a feeling they lack, and with the technology of the phones and everything like that, I mean, you're just asking for trouble when you can make a phone that you can take anywhere and read the internet and stuff. That's just asking for trouble. No wonder they are developing cars that are going to drive for us, because we can't handle the fact that we should probably put the phone down while we're driving or walking.
Do you hear that? Do you hear this rain in the background?
I do not.
Oh, wow, I'm surprised. I can hear it through my mic. It's just like, yeah, the gates of heaven have opened up here with the rain, man.
I heard we're supposed to get a tsunami, but
I heard that too. I heard you guys
like,
had some bad weather coming in through there. Well,
it doesn't look like it, but fine. Free water for my plants.
For the garden. There you go, man.
Mm-hmm.
There you go. You know, this is an older article. It comes from, I say older, it's just a few days old. IBM teams with Apple on artificial intelligence health program.
Yeah, how nice.
Yeah, IBM on Monday announces alliances with Apple and others to put artificial intelligence to work, drawing potential life-saving insights from the booming amount of health data generated on personal devices.
Hey.
Oh, yes.
No,
Yeah.
because IBM has to get involved in the medical field as well. You know, I mean,
Indeed, yeah.
That's where their specialty's at, man. You didn't know that, the medical field.
Well, where was it? Where was the? There was another article that I don't know if I sent it to you. Bring up, but there was this. This idea. Maybe it was something about a DNA profile. If I can find it, cameras everywhere. Please.
Is that the Google one?
Let's see. Here we go. Found it. Sorry about that. So how genetic surveillance will reveal your personal details. It says, think of the dread you'd feel if you lost your wallet on a busy street, or the sinking feeling in your gut if someone forgot your phone. I mean, if you forgot your phone in a crowded restaurant. But you probably wouldn't think twice about brushing aside a strand of your hair in a public bathroom, or tossing away a plastic cup, coffee cup, a piece of chewed up gum, or a cigarette butt. Maybe it's time to think again. When you discard what you discard most likely contains your DNA. That is, your entire genetic material. Something scientists can use to determine everything about where you were born, your race, your bone structure, complexion, age, color, the shape of your face, so on. And they don't say this here, but not to mention any kind of substances you put in your body, so forth and so on. Say if it's hair. I said, but unless you've committed an interesting crime, no one is likely to pick up and study the debris you leave in your wake. Hey, that's you see, John. If you haven't done anything wrong, you really don't have to worry about it.
Right.
You don't have to worry about it. See, it's the whole dialectic that comes out. If you haven't done anything wrong, don't worry about this. This is going to be that new secure. Remember, a little bit more security we give you guys because we're going to protect your freedom. How people buy into the dialectic just amazes me.
No, I agree. It's ridiculous that you could think that they can give you more security than you. You have to surrender that security to them in order for them to give you security.
That's right. Indeed. Let's see, back to the IBM, but the IBM teaming up with Apple and Artificial Intelligence Health Program. It says, the initiative is trying to take advantage of medical records, increasingly being digitized, allowing quick access for patients and healthcare providers. If the information can be stored and shared efficiently, IBM wants to create a platform for that sharing. Yeah. Don't worry, though. Don't worry about any of your medical information or anything you wanted to keep private, certain medical procedures you've had done. You want to keep those things private, don't you? That's just really, but if I haven't done anything wrong, what do I really have to worry about? Gosh.
That's probably right. You don't have to worry about it, but still, it's none of their business. If you haven't done anything wrong, fine. But come on, dude. If it's none of the government's business, they should leave you alone. I mean, really. And I don't know why more people fall for that. It's okay. They'll take care of it.
Because we are lazy and because we are weak. Sorry.
No, I agree. I agree. I just, it's just, makes you.
I know, it makes you want to vomit. The whole thing just makes you. It's like, why can't people? There's a question I've heard people ask a lot. They say, well, if you really believe in it, why aren't you out there doing something about it? It's like, and I understand this might be seen as an excuse, but nobody else is. Nobody else is. And see, I think that's another.
You're on the microphone though, man.
I
You're
know,
trying.
I know, but you know what I'm saying? This is a dialectic we get sucked into, but nobody else is. How many other people are saying, but nobody else? I mean, plenty of people are out there doing stuff, but how many people are not? And they say nobody else is. Nobody else is. Nobody else is. So therefore, the fear aspect comes in, and it's okay to be a little bit uncomfortable. You know, yeah, that Patriot Act isn't affecting me. I still go to work. I do all the things I do every day. See, I mean, that's the amazing thing. That's how they've really made us comfortable in our slavery. Happiness and slavery, man. That's how they've really made us comfortable with our slavery. Is the fact that we don't see it. We don't see it, and we're willing. Hey, just like yesterday, pay the tribute. Pay it. Pay the tribute. You got to be. You don't. Do you want those guys after you? Pay the tribute.
Yeah. Don't. Yeah.
They've got shotguns now. Lots
no
of
comment,
them.
No comment. No comment.
Yeah, they all got shotguns now. That's what an IRS agent. Yeah. I like your little.
They need shotguns, man.
And I did. Let me say, I saw a picture you posted online, and I liked the little message that you left the IRS on the back of the envelope.
Oh well, thank you. That was my being alive American tax. That's my just because you're alive in America in this modern age, you have to pay some form of tax if you don't buy a private health insurance program.
I see such a. I mean, here's the thing, man. We have, like I've said, we have the tension in this country between the people that have been manipulated and have bought into the dialectic and they're opposing each other. The tension in this country is like a boil fixing to bust, man. It's a zit at the last moment. It's there. It's ready to go. And it's like all these things they do, where they make you see over the time. And see, that's the thing. More and more people are waking up. They're saying, wait, why do I pay these taxes to, for this and that and the whole concept, the whole illegal concept of it. More and more people are thinking about this. Maybe they're not acting on it, but they're thinking on it. They're understanding, and they see all these little lackeys and dupes up in D.C. and the way that they're obviously puppets, and they think even more. They think even more, and they start wondering about this. I see those behind the veil as peroxide. They're peroxide on that big boil. They want this to boil over. They want you to feel the pain in your backside come April the 15th or before if you decided to do it.
I think they don't care if it boils over or if they just take it little by little. Whatever way it gets them there, they'll take it. So if people are just going to go back and just be apathetic about the whole thing, then that's fine with them too. They'll just keep doing what they're doing. And if it's going to boil over, well, then we can hurry it along. But
There's just so much, man. I just look, like I said, I look at the world. I just look at this country, and because this country, we do have we have gotten into that lazy aspect. I think you don't see the aspect of it boiling over as much as you would see in other countries. People are mad around the world. People are mad around the world, and actually they are primed to be, once again, just like all the little secret society revolutions during history, they're primed once again to be used as cannon fodder. To be able to be pushed hither and there and everywhere.
In some manner, they're easier to manipulate into the violence. I think it's easier here in the States and maybe some more Western countries to just put everybody to sleep. That's the way they handled the West.
Well, I am not by any means gonna sit back and say there's not racist people in this country. There's always going to be. Well, actually, let's use the right term for it: bigoted. There's always going to be that kind of individual in this country. You're never going to get rid of them. Come on. There's always going to be people that think backwards. It doesn't work for them. They have bad experiences, whatever, and they're going to be of many colors and many shapes and many sizes. And genders. Both genders. Only two. Both genders. But with that said, they use these things. They use these aspects that I just went over there. They use these aspects to divide us. It's amazing. The whole racism. What people call racism. Look at how much it's thrown around now. It has become, hey, that's why I always like going back to that quote from Manzini. Manzini, where he says we don't need any learned discourse. We just need a few words: liberty, fraternity, equality. That's all they need to say. Hands up, don't shoot. Hands up, don't shoot. This is what democracy looks like. This is what, hey, just keep saying it, man. Just keep saying it. They don't need any learned discourse. They don't need any intelligent conversation. They just need these things, and they need to have false enemies. Do you realize that the king and queen during the French Revolution that, got their heads chopped off? Do you realize that they were loved, basically? I mean, these weren't like some despotic individuals. These were not, I'm not saying that, hey, I'm not saying the monarchy was great and wonderful and good. But do you realize that most people were very, very much, at the beginning of the 18th century in France, very, very much embedded with their Catholicism and their monarchy? They loved these things. And they convinced people with lies. They convinced individuals with lies and false scams and stuff that these were some god-awful, bloodthirsty institutions. Yeah, the monarchy always, any monarchy, if you look around the world, they've always had their bad times, and sometimes they continue their bad times. The religion, especially the Catholic Church, yes. But that's what we always have to remember. I'm not a fan. I was raised in the Catholic Church. I'm not a fan of the Catholic Church, but at the same time, I know a lot of good Catholics that I just call they're Christians. Mm-hmm. They don't get into all that weird ideology and everything. I know some, they're like, yeah, that's when I was raised, but I'm just a Christian now. Yeah, I'm just a Christian. I got past a lot of dogma and everything. So, cause that's pretty much what a lot of organized denominations tend to be dogma. Right. Some sort of dogma, whether it's good dogma or bad dogma or handling snakes and drinking strychnine dogma. It always tends to be some sort of dogma. Mm-hmm. But it is the dogmas that they use to divide us. It is those dogmas. It is those little aspects that they use to divide us. And it's interesting how they use these things, and they do bring about, as I was saying before, they bring about false accusations against a whole of individuals. Hey, yeah, cops, let me tell you, a lot of these guys, we're seeing it, we've known it, not good. And hey, another thing, I do feel like, yeah, in certain areas, the black community is targeted a lot. But what's also happened in a lot of those inner city areas? What's also happened? Well, something that happened by design. Something, people have to have an honest discussion about things. Something that happened by design. They took the father out of the house. Yep. They took the father. I mean, the government knows, man. Come on. And we can go away from the black community to the white community and see where it's done. Government knows that having a father in the house, it's just a common sense. They know that is that's the best situation. They know that having a father in the house that's the best situation.
You need father and mother.
Yeah, I'm not knocking single mothers at all. These things happen, but everybody knows. The government knows, and it has always been their idea. Hey, take them out of the home. Get the man out of the home. I just think that the black community was one of the ones that they focused on first. It was one that they focused on first, and then it just sort of spilled over. They spilled it over. They started doing it to this area and that area, and now it's promoted. Hey, it's okay. Mm-hmm. It's okay when the ideal thing is to be balanced between the male and the female. A lot of people, they think I'm getting new agey there, but I'm not. That's the ideal balance. There is just, but yeah, the breakdown of the family. That's one way that they have dumbed down the inner city community.
And isn't that funny? That is the only way they preach individuality at all is through the destruction of the family. That's the only, because every other way they don't preach individuality. It's always a collective mindset. But in breaking down the family, they push the thought of individuality.
A lot of these revolutionary areas about destroying things, these revolutionary ideas, these go back to the Gnostics. These go back to the Gnostics. Their belief that the material world is evil, and also sometimes an illusion, and it can be destroyed. It needs to be destroyed. It needs to. Hey, you got to go through that putrefaction, so you can get that regeneration. So without a lot of people realizing that they're even programmed into these Gnostic concepts, they are. They truly are. They believe everything about it's not just, hey, I understand. Yeah, you got some despots. DC. Despots and whatever you want to say C is. But or drug dealers in Colombia, all kind of names. But in DC, they understand. As I said before, man, these guys understand. They understand that the downfall of the family is Adam Weishaupt, the destruction of the family. What's his name? Albert Pike. I read his quote yesterday. Imposition upon the family.
How many times have they had a chance to run the numbers to see what destroys a family? They've had plenty of practice. They keep working at it. I mean, they've done pretty good now. I mean, the family's pretty much there's not many one single marriage families intact anymore. That's been decimated.
And the government promotes it and funds it.
Exactly.
They promote it. It's not. Hey, I'm not criticizing helping somebody, or even honestly, even saying that a government shouldn't help people sometimes. Maybe if that's what they want to do, without taxing people for it. Figure out another way, okay? But without taxing people for it. But they promote. That's what I'm saying. They promote the destruction of the family by leaving intact the framework, whereas the family can continue to be destroyed.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, look at all these cases. I guarantee you, if you went through a lot of these, say, child rape cases by boyfriends, you'll find what was not there before, a father. Mm-hmm. What was not there before, a father. I think you'll find that over and over, man. You'll find it more and more if you look. Well, guys, we'll be right back here on Waking Up the Masses, right here on Truth Frequency Radio. Hang in there.
Chris and Sheree Geo here, founders of Truth Frequency Radio. We just wanted to take a moment to thank all of you for making TFR the biggest and the best independent radio station out there.
When we first entered the alternative media scene in 2009, we were really taken aback by the amount of infighting, backbiting, fear-based reporting, and ego-driven personalities. That's when we knew we had to set ourselves apart and set a new standard in broadcasting. Thus, TFR was conceived as a supported state with no corporate or outside influence and limited commercial interruptions.
You can support our efforts by signing up for a VIP membership at truthfrequencyradio.com/signup or by making a donation at truthfrequencyradio.com/donate.
For less than $4 a month, you can ensure that TFR continues broadcasting for years to come. Real people, real radio.
Wherever you are, make it TFR.
Time and time again.
You need to come here and help us. We need assistance, please.
Those we should be able to depend on let us down.
Federal and state and local officials saying help is on the way. Well, the folks here in Bell Harbor say, show me.
Don't depend on the government to save you. Take action now so that you're prepared for the next disaster with MyPatriotSupply.com. Get the best prices on storable food, non-GMO seeds, water filtration devices, home canning equipment, survival and self-reliance books, and more at MyPatriotSupply.com. Call 866-229-0927.
We are hurting down here and we need help immediately.
Before it's time to survive, it's time to prepare. MyPatriotSupply.com. MyPatriotSupply.com.
Did you know there are 3 million edible food plants on Earth, and none have the nutritional value of the hemp plant? HempUSA.org offers you hemp protein powder. It does not contain chemicals or THC, is non-GMO, and is 100% gluten-free. Hemp protein powder burns fat, builds muscle, contains 53% protein, and feeds the body the nutrients it needs. Call 888-910-4367 and see what our powder, seeds, and oil can do for you. Only at HempUSA.org. Wouldn't it be nice to have one product that replaces more than 10, saving you space, time, and money? HempUSA.org has a complete full-spectrum vitamin mineral detox formulation called Micro Plant Powder Gold. Micro Plant Powder Gold contains 101 vitamins, minerals, probiotics, and iodine. Has a 100-year shelf life and is a perfect addition to any storage shelter. Make Micro Plant Powder Gold your choice. Call 888-910-4367 or visit HempUSA.org today.
We hold these truths to be self-evident, and that all men are created equal.
The Freedom Link.
With Joe Joseph, Monday through Friday on Truth Frequency Radio.
And welcome back to Waking Up the Masses right here on truthfrequencyradio.com. And, you know, Mr. LeBang, I wanted to say, you know, the break sort of caught me there at the end. I believe in helping people. I truly believe in helping people. I do not want to I don't believe in taking food out of anyone's mouth. As much as I hate to see the way it's done, you know, there would have to be, you know, the radical restructuring. A radical restructuring of a system where people actually helped. People actually helped, because I believe what we have, you know, we're talking about Tribute Day yesterday, April 15th. We've become numb. We've become numb. You know, it's the donation. Somebody calls you on the phone, hey, give us $2 to save the hungry kids. Okay. You know, hey, I feel good about the hungry kids now. You know what I mean? People become numb. Oh, it pays for the streets. It pays this. You know, meanwhile, you're riding down the streets. Pothole. Like, it doesn't pay for the streets. It doesn't do any of these things. It pays. It lines someone's back and distributes a little bit to their lackeys, whether it be paid and so forth and so on. The big problem here is the government. It's not the institution of helping the poor and the hungry. The big problem here is who wields it. The problem is not people getting health care. The problem is the fact that the government wants to wield the power to say how much you can get, and where you can get it, and what kind of end-of-life care you might get. That's where the problem comes in. The problem is it all goes back to one thing. These jackballs that people seem to think are different. Oh God, wait, we could have a woman this time. They think it's different. Somehow it's going to be different. Oh, we have a black guy this time. It's going to be different. We're going to have a woman this time. It's going to be different. Hey, next thing you know, hey, we're going to have a guy with a horn growing out of the top of his head. It's going to be different, man. Everything's going to be different.
My friend.
I know. But, you know, I was talking about, you know, but we were talking about the family. And I just find it very interesting. If you go back and look in, let's say, 12th century, I would say around the 12th century. Let me see. Let me give exact. It might be the 13th century, so I don't want to misquote myself. But you had certain Gnostic groups. I've talked about the Manichaeans before and these guys, but you had certain groups that were influenced. So see, Manichaeism, it even made it, you know, it went far and wide. It went far and wide. It even made its way to into China, blended with Buddhism. You know, it's amazing. It's amazing how these guys get around throughout history. But you find there's such a line too. That's what I mean. There's such an actual line. But you had your Catharis. One group I think you call the Waldenses, and the excuse me. I had a good lunch, man. A little bit of indigestion there.
You liked watching the Waldens?
John Boy? The Waldenses and the Albigenes. Albigeneses, I think, is the way you say that. So you have these groups, man, and it's interesting to see how they would, you know, they would take over whole areas. They would take over, and they would basically enlist the priests, the clergy, whatever they could find. But it took up root. Manichaeism and its whole Gnostic doctrine, it started taking up root in, I've talked about this before, Bulgaria. Bulgaria was always a hotbed for a lot of these crazy little Gnostic sects. You'll find the origination of Satanism in Bulgaria, modern day what we call Satanism, as well as sort of a same group but opposing.
Is there something in the water there?
I don't know. I remember the weightlifters back during the big steroid days in the Olympics. They could lift some weight, man. But so you had your Catharis. Catharis just mean Catharis. They just it means purifiers. Where we heard this again, the whole purified by fire, but it just means purifiers. Sort of went back to the whole idea of the of Manes and the Manichaeans. They were about destruction of material. The material world is all evil. The Manichaeans even taught that the idea that Adam and Eve cohabitated with devils, and they gave birth to the human race. So therefore, we are even evil. So you had their big leader in it was the 12th century. He had bishops, priests, deacons, man. See, they were, even though they seemed to be Catholic, they were in the higher class, and they were called the perfectist, or the perfects. And then you had the lower class, the second degree. There were 2 degrees. You had your believers. And I talked about another group, which all these sort of fall under. The Albigenes, and it comes from a city called Albi. It comes from a city called, I think Albi, if I'm not mistaken, if I remember right. So in Bulgaria at this time, man, you had a revolt. You basically had a revolt against the Catholic Church. And you had all kinds of, they used, I guess you would say, they used the media. What was done during the French Revolution, this is nothing new. They used the media to talk about, oh, look what the Pope's doing. Look how much he eats. Look at all the gold he has. The bishops, oh, look at all this. Look at all that. Look at all the high-up princes and dignitaries that they let in and they pardon. With a little.
They occupy Wall Street back then.
There you go. Working with people's emotional sentiments. I understand, man. Hey, do you really want this kind of, stuff going on? I understand. But at the same time, they use these emotions against the crowd. They like the crowd. They think the crowd are sheep. They think the crowd are good sheep and they need good shepherds. And sometimes, as they say in the Protocols of the Learned Elders of Sion, that sometimes sheep need good wolves. And I can't remember the exact quote, but they go, and we know what wolves do to a flock. So that is, like I said, that's their belief, man. That's their belief. But they got in, what they did is they started imposing Gnosticism once again upon Christianity. And, it's like, okay, forget about this whole, we're going to substitute going in trances and convulsions and stuff like that, and actually, giving money, tithes, all these things. We're going to substitute this for that whole spirit of redemption through Jesus. Now you got to all go through all these phases, and maybe you can be one of the perfects one day. I know right now you're a believer, but maybe you can be one of the perfects.
If you go through enough degrees.
Indeed. So, so you see these guys, they sort of got stamped out. They sort of got stamped out. The church is like, oh heck no, we got to get rid of these guys. So they sort of got stamped out. Now you see them pop back up. Suddenly these guys pop back up. It's a sect called the Waldenses. Once again, I think that's the way you pronounce it. Once again, what do you got? 2 degrees, the perfectist and the believers. The perfectist and the believers. Here we go again. Mm-hmm. And these perfectists, they decided that, okay, we're going to take this symbolic vow of poverty. We'll take this symbolic vow of poverty and we'll call ourselves the poor brethren. And then they had the poor brethren of the outer and the third order. They formed 2 more degrees under that. So they, once again, they were sort of discovered, and they were pushed north. These guys went into northern France. I talk about, you've heard me talk about on here about the difference between a lot of your southern France, the Templars from southern France, and northern France. The ones from northern France and northern Europe, the Templars, had deeply been saturated with these Catharis. I think it was Bernard. It was one of the ones at the time of the First Crusade, the head of the Templars. I think his name was Bernard, if I'm not mistaken. He was a Cathari. He was steeped in it, man. Steeped in it all his life. So once again, these guys are found. And they decide, hey, we need to take, we're going to go here, go there. They actually, they moved into the northern provinces of France. They went to England. They went into Germany. Then they went into Bohemia.
Interesting name.
Yeah, those that get into conspiracy work will recognize the name John Wycliffe, as well as John Huss. Now these guys they were a big part of the Bohemian Brethren. Bohemian Brethren also later they took the name of the Moravian Brothers. The Moravian Brothers, or the Religious Masons. And you find also a lot of different groups that sort of spawned off of this, such as the Anabaptist and the Convulsuaries. Do you realize that what we know as the Puritans, and we read that story about how they were ran out of England. Elizabeth ran them out of England, or it was whoever was there before, and then they were ran out of the Netherlands. Why was that? Why was that? This was one of those Gnostics. Some of the first settlers here, as far as those religious ones we hear about, the Puritans, were basically passed down from these Gnostic. Their beliefs were passed down from these Gnostic sects. This is exactly what they were, and people did not want them around them. But why? Because their doctrines teach destruction of society. In the end, their doctrines teach and not just destruction of society. Their doctrines teach destruction of everything, man, including beliefs, including that was one of the things. The Protestant Reformation. So many of these guys were involved and were influenced by these Catharians, by the Moravians, by the Anabaptists, but there was still that spirit of Christianity that refused to let a lot of the Gnosticism in. Martin Luther at first was all about this, and then sort of the idea is like no, and so he actually sort of went on a campaign against. If I'm not mistaken, it was the Moravian Brothers that he went on a campaign against. If I'm not mistaken, but at one time he allied himself with them, and then he's like, whoa, looking kind of bad here, not working. And but it's also interesting to see, history. If we look, history is the different history, from another side. What did you have also? You had your anti-Reformation Jesuits. I mean, this is like one of their biggest times of pushing back against what they see as chaos. This is where you'll read about a lot of Jesuit, shall we say, bad deeds. Bad deeds. So there's always been a little bit of conflict. There's always been a little bit of a conflict, but I don't believe there's conflict anymore. That's the thing with me. I don't believe there's conflict. The only conflict we see within secret societies or anything is that which we are, hey, it's for entertainment. When we see one country fighting another, one idea fighting another, it's all for entertainment now. It has nothing to do with, oh yes, this guy's the good guy, this guy's the bad guy. We had our two guests on yesterday, Wayne S. Pearson, Mr. Nick Tucker, and Nick Tucker was talking about, they look and they say, oh yeah, Putin's a good guy, Obama's the bad guy. It's like, wow, you guys have really bought into this, haven't you? I mean, I'm just saying, people they get into, they think that. Mm-hmm. It's like, gosh, Conference of Yalta, it's right there, Conference of Yalta, it says it. Hey, we'll eventually, once again, we could go back to the League of Nations and their ideas. They always pass down the same ideas, and this idea of we need this new world state, and we need a big, all-encompassing army in order to take care of it. If you want to look at
because, it's funny, they need this massive army, but everybody else is going to be disarmed. What do you need an army for then?
That's right. Indeed. There you go. If you want to disarm people, why do you need an army? I think it's State Publication 7277, if I'm not mistaken, where it talks about, it was back in the 60s maybe? 50s, 60s?
61, roughly?
Yeah. And it talks about, hey, nuclear weapons now, the UN will take control of those. And it even says, and they'll use them where they see fit. Not in those exact words, but it is those words, that sentiment. It's not hidden.
Yeah, that's at near the third phase or something they're talking about.
Yeah, it's not hidden. It's actually people ought to read education.
But that was way back in 1961, Robert. That's old, man. Don't worry about it. It can't be implemented by now. It's impossible. They've moved on to something else.
Education in the New Age. I think it's Alice Bailey. I think that's the name of her book. That's another fascinating one. You'll see how it's all about mind control. It's all about good programming. Mm-hmm. But, man, if you start to look, and this is what I was going to sort of hop back and forth from some of these older societies to even, 100-something years ago. What do we always read about? We never get all the pieces to the story. 1889, the Luciferian doctrine is presented from Albert Pike at the Masonic Congress in Paris, at the Supreme Council. So, the Luciferian doctrine. But what was going on that same week? See, this is like, it wasn't just like that was their big meeting. There were other groups meeting, man. You had a Marxist meeting. You had your International Workers' Congress, your Marxist meeting. You had your Unionist. They had a big meeting. You had your Spiritist. They had a big meeting. I mean, there was like all these big conventions that were going on in Paris during this week. The Grand Orient Lodge, they had a big convention, as well as the Supreme Council of all Masonry.
Maybe it was just that time of year where they had a big party going on or something. Yeah, so they party a lot, those people.
Well, there was the one as far as the Spiritist conference. See, these guys started hanging out together during all this. One of the delegates to the International Workers' Congress, people will know this, is Annie Besant. Annie Besant. But the guy that was sort of head of the Spiritist convention that was going on, his last name is Dennis, he said, "The occult powers are at work among men. Spiritism is a powerful germ which will develop and bring about transformation of laws, ideas, and social forces. It will show its powerful influence on social economy and on public life." You know, these three conventions going on, as well as the other one with the Supreme Council, where Pike's Luciferian doctrine was presented. They sort of, you sort of had this blending at the time. See, once again here we get into the whole little dualistic things. Because what did you have? You got your International Workers' Congress. A lot of these guys are Marxist. A lot of them are atheist. A lot of them are also Grand Orient Masons. A lot of them also are Grand Orient Masons. And so then you have the Unionist, sort of below them on the pedestal, and then you have your Spiritist. Which, so it's interesting to see, sort of Besant could sort of straddle both lines of that. Actually, all of them. All these people were welcome amongst each other. But the delegates, these guys, they met at the Grand Orient in Paris. The same place, at the same lodge where the League of Nations was founded a few decades later. The same lodge where it was founded a few decades later. France has always been a very important center. You see those old spy movies and all that stuff going on. It's like, duh. This has always been a very important center for these occultists, as well as London was. As well as, I believe, many places now, but as well as London was. So they got together, man. I've talked about this before. They got together. They decided, hey, let's decide on how we're going to do this. A lot of conspiracy writers of the time, they talked about this. And they suggest basically that these Unionist, Marxist, Spiritist, and Luciferians, they had to decide on what was it going to be. What were they going to launch? They want a new world order. Hey, we'll bind together. We'll have a new world order. Communism. But what do they always need? They got to have the power behind the wheel, man. Revolutions have to be funded. So therefore, the other side of Masonry, your aristocratic bloodline type Masonry, British Masonry, they had to be brought into the fold. We need the Rothschilds. We need these guys to fund it. So there was sort of a deciding point. Okay, and we'll just stick with, I know we want the big commune, but okay, we'll settle on sort of a socialist corporatism. Isn't that what we have now?
Yeah.
Yeah, we have basically a socialist corporatism. It's taken real roots in this country. It had already taken roots decades and decades ago in England, as well as many other countries. So it's the base. It's the same thing. It's the same thing. This is a very interesting time because there wasn't a lot of communication as far as was seen in the open between a lot of lodges. Up until after this big meeting, all this universal meeting of these groups in Paris, and now you start seeing communique between the Mother Lodge and Continental Lodges, Grand Orient Lodges, the Swiss Alpina Lodge, as well as also we see the emergence of the OTO, the Golden Dawn, the Order of the East and the West, the Thule Society. All these different groups start popping up, man. And so they start working together. I think this is really why this last century, our previous century, the 1900s, was full of so much chaos and so much war. Now, obviously, they ramped their idea up, and look at how much we have now, man. As I said yesterday, they're pushing us towards some kind of singularity, but it's not some little spiritual singularity or technological singularity. It's a singularity where you finally have no freedom, none. You're in hell. You're in hell, buddy. Welcome.
Any like quick individual is going to notice that what you were describing there was a version of the Bilderberg group, but in the past. It's the same thing. Same, all the societies, all the top people got together.
It's from these ideas that you start seeing these little groups pop up, like the CFR and the Trilateral Commission and these other groups. It's from these ideas, but they wanted a big thinking man's thing, and for it to be, as H.G. Wells thought, these groups, because he was one of the founding members of the CFR, he thought that these groups would be more, they're open. They're there. Everybody knows they exist. It's not like the Bavarian Illuminati or the Copenhagen or any of these guys. They exist. They're there. They wanted this idea of an open conspiracy, and people could oppose it if they want. But so what? We're letting them know what we do. They'll be okay.
Right. But
go ahead.
No, go ahead.
I was just gonna bring it about. And so from this amalgamation, all these groups getting together, we start seeing in the early 1900s, late 1800s, we start seeing different groups come up. It's interesting how you see the media and how the media starts working with things. Different groups. If I'm not mistaken, this is from a book called Light Bearers of Darkness. It's Stoddard. She's the one that wrote it. She wrote more than one book, but I think this is the one it's from, where I got this quote. And she talks about the different groups. These different groups of, let's say, intelligentsia, so forth and so on, that came out eventually of all these, starting with the Quattro Coronati Lodge, on with this big conference in Paris, all the establishment of these sub-lodges. And she says, you have Group 1. They work on the familiar lines of lectures, magazine publications. They are there to attract large numbers of idle women who have the leisure to take a little occultism with their afternoon tea. Practically all the members are people with time and money. 2. This is a group of small numbers. She says, it works all lodges and circulates manuscripts. Its teaching is done by correspondence, by individual officers. It seldom has lectures. It taps a wholly different class. Gets a more varied social strata. Has a far larger proportion of men. Most of its men are Freemasons. These people are busy. They are singularly few idle, moneyed, or leisured women and men among them. They are very proud and independent. Their bodies are older than the Theosophical Society, and they do not forget it. They must be got at from within and not from without. The third group accept no authority over them. This group is non-Masonic, consisting of men and women of letters, and must be turned through popular movements. I find that
through popular
movements. So these guys, what are they saying?
That should be echoed.
Yeah, these guys are not part of the system, but they consist of men and women that are very intelligent. They're writing. They understand the secret societies. They understand their machinations. They're writing about it. They're telling people about it. They're telling people about the cult. So we have to turn them through popular movements. It's interesting to see how the whole, this multi-headed snake, this crazy hydra, and the way it works. But, the Theosophical Society, I was talking about Besant, Blavatsky, a lot of people know this, Blavatsky was, Besant was her successor, if I'm not mistaken, of the Theosophical Society. And Madame Blavatsky, she just looks rough, doesn't she?
Oh, she does.
She looks rough. Madame Blavatsky.
Looking at her, I can't believe anybody followed her. I would have been throwing up just looking at her.
I've told you the story. There's a 33rd degree Italian Mason, Garibaldi, who fought. She fought in the Italian Revolution alongside him, gun and everything. And she got shot, and they thought she was dead, and they left her for dead on the battlefield, and she survived. You can't kill that beast, man. You can't take it down.
Maybe she's still alive somewhere.
It's a Terminator. Keeps coming
maybe
back.
They live on forever, and they're hidden. Once they get a certain age, they just make them disappear. Who knows?
I'm telling you, man. But isn't it interesting from this, from this little Congress and stuff, and from the Quattro Coronati Lodge, you start seeing all these people pop up like Aleister Crowley. This post all this stuff was really his heyday, where he started coming. He was a member of the Quattro Coronati Lodge. All these guys that started these sub lodges, they were either connected to the Masonic Research Lodge or they were part of it. They were members of it. They could get access to all these old things. As I've said, Blavatsky, she was very well at rewording things that basically she got from the manual, from the I think it was biannual publications put out by the Quattro Coronati Lodge. Lots of people flock to there, man. Lots of people. And the connections, too. You can see the connections. Blavatsky, who joined Blavatsky's Theosophical Society in New York? Albert Pike. I bet they had something going on, too, man. Ugh. See?
Neither one of them were very pretty.
Yeah, well, even that, they're just sort of diabolical-looking people. Pike was, I guess you would call him, you can see some early pictures of him before he became Big Albert. Before he became Fat Albert, he was kind of skinny Albert. He wasn't an ugly man. He wasn't an ugly man, and he was by far, like I've always said, he was by far from being that stupid Southern idiot or anything. He was a Northerner. Pike was from the North. Pike was a transplant that came down here. Pike was an agent of there we go. I knew the break was coming. I just forgot. I forgot about it, man. We'll be right back here in a few minutes, guys. Right here on Waking Up the Masses on Truth Frequency Radio.
Chris and Sheree Gio here, founders of Truth Frequency Radio. We just wanted to take a moment to thank all of you for making TFR the biggest and the best independent radio station out there.
When we first entered the alternative media scene in 2009, we were really taken aback by the amount of infighting, backbiting, fear-based reporting, and ego-driven personalities. That's when we knew we had to set ourselves apart and set a new standard in broadcasting. And thus, TFR was conceived as a listener-supported station with no corporate or outside influence and limited commercial interruptions.
You can support our efforts by signing up for a VIP membership at truthfrequencyradio.com/signup or by making a donation at truthfrequencyradio.com/donate.
For less than $4 a month, you can ensure that TFR continues broadcasting for years to come. Real people, real radio.
Wherever you are, make it TFR.
We are submersed in a construct that was designed to break us and keep us broken, but it hasn't. It failed. We still go on because we were designed from an eternal template of infinite creativity and not a synthetic house of cards built on pride and false power. Breaking free from the programs and paradigms that hold us down takes courage, endurance, tenacity, and trust. The reason it is so hard is because to be a free and sovereign being, we have to smash every lie, even if it hurts. It is good to be reminded of how resilient, unbreakable, magnificent, and powerful we truly are. And if anything provides a foundation for that, it is the book, Our Universal Journey. Go to ouruniversaljourney.com.au.
Archaeology, astronomy, alchemy, secrets of the Holy Bible, hidden codes of the Quran, demonology, Tesla technology, solar power, extraterrestrials in the ancient world. More than 500 documentaries, an experimental film lab of cutting-edge music and art, full-length movies, conference reports, and weekly TV shows. The Enigma Channel is the world's first truly global TV station. www.enigmatv.com. Intelligent television for planet Earth.
Wherever you are, make it
Truth Frequency Radio. You're an enemy combatant of the United States of the New Globe. I will not read you your rights. You don't have any rights. You will be detained indefinitely. Say goodbye to life as you know it. Say goodbye.
And welcome back to Waking Up the Masses right here on Truth Frequency Radio. Mr. LeBang. Mr.
Yes,
LeBang, how you doing, sir?
I am bewaring of beautiful young vampires and satanic yoga. That's what I'm doing.
I'm telling you, man, you better be wary of beautiful young vampires and satanic yoga. Did you see that article, man?
Yeah, I saw it a few days ago. It was very interesting to read, even if I can't believe it.
Now, see, this is one problem I have with when you get into the conspiracy research community. You will have a lot of people start popping up with this yoga stuff. You start having a lot of them pop up with this yoga stuff, and let's be honest, most of the, as far as what people practice in this country, is called Hatha. It's Hatha yoga. Good breathing and good physical exercise. It's physical yoga, body yoga, Hatha yoga. But of course, there's many other kinds. I've talked about that before, and even those, this is not getting into the old Brahmic initiation system. These are practices that people do, and they always say, "Oh yes, when you open yourself up to." I've never understood this. I for years, for almost a whole decade, was in all kind of yogic practices. And I can tell you, I was also into shamanic practices. A lot of those. I can tell you, I never had any demon like come around and say, "Hey, I'm here to, I'm here to, now that you're like this and you're seeking something higher, I am here to possess you. I am here to make your life heck." If anything, it always was in the way. At the time, it was always a good thing. At the time, there was always something good that came from these things. This is when you start getting into that. The Catholic Church is being the Catholic Church. If in the old times they would call you a heretic and they would burn you. You would go before the Inquisition and they would burn you. That's what they do. Now they use the media. So they're going to tell you that these little shows, they're little brain-numbing shows, your vampire shows that these people watch, but I don't think that's going to twist somebody's mind. There are twisted people in the world, but it's not because of these things. It's not because of...
You mean because of TV shows and stuff like that?
No, TV shows, you got to have twisted TV shows for twisted people, and of course you can make them even more twisted with the TV shows.
Oh, they're quite twisted right now.
The ancient Gnostics, whether it was the Manichaeans with Christianity, what became the Ishmaelis with Islam. What they do is they would examine their holy book, whatever religion it was. Examine the holy book. Look for, because no man is perfect writing anything. Look, even if he's divinely inspired, no man is perfect writing anything. Look for contradictions. And by finding the contradictions, deny any kind of divine origin of the religion. Now, it's easy to impose dualistic Gnostic thinking. Now it's easy to impose this. You can impose the idea of all matter is bad, because that's what it boils down to. All matter is bad. Remember, Gnosticism eventually, in many cases, it led to absolutism with a lot of these crazy sects, like the emergence of Satanism and other different groups. What we know is the Yazidis. They're Gnostic that sort of went to an extreme. I feel bad for a lot of these poor, I feel awful actually. You see a lot of these people being displaced, and it doesn't have anything, well, it does have to do with their religion in the eyes of those doing it, of course. But even in their religion, that they believe that they are supposed to worship the peacock angel. Who is the peacock angel? They're supposed to worship the peacock angel for 10,000 years because the Creator gave him rule over the earth. Because the Creator gave him rule over the earth, so that's their belief. That is their belief, and this sprung from Gnosticism.
What year are we in now? Because the Peacock's not ruling so well. I'd like to get his term of empire out of here.
Isn't it interesting that the peacock is also has all the same characteristics symbolically in China as the phoenix does? To the Chinese, the peacock has all those same regenerative qualities and everything as the phoenix does.
Do you know where the origins of the word peacock come from?
I do not.
Just wondering.
Okay.
It's an odd name to give a bird.
Oh Lord, yes it is. Yes it is. But so they did this. You know, these Persian sects that did it with the Quran. I find it very interesting that you see now these Persian sects, these what are they? The Ayatollahs in Iran gaining so much power. I have no prediction to make about this. It's just an observation. That these Ayatollahs, they're far from being Islamic. They can find their roots right back. They can find their roots right back with Gnosticism. They're the followers of the Shiites. They're the followers of Ali. And at the highest, these sprang from the Ishmaelis. This comes from the Ishmaelis, and at the highest, I guarantee you, these mullahs, these imams, these guys that control, these ayatollahs that control them, I guarantee you, they believe, their belief is in Gnosticism. And they use this to control the masses. They use this to control people. It's even used to this day and time. They look at what they do to people now. As I said, these dualistic Gnostic thinkers, they would come in, examine the holy text, look for the things that just didn't sound right, and so by doing that, shoot some holes through it and deny its divine origin. All right, now don't they do this in this day and time the way they work with people's brains? They bring someone up in entertainment or in the media. They elevate them, they brag on them, they make them into a star, then they point out the contradictions in their life. They do it to all of us. They do it to anyone that suddenly out there with a good idea. They say, "Oh, but you know what he did? You know what he said the other day?" See, it's always, we've been programmed for this. We've been programmed to look very, very deep into little bitty minute details and tear it apart, and which we should. Hey, as a researcher, we definitely should. But this is not talking about research. This is talking about working with somebody's head. Because you cannot use dualism on someone unless you allow it, one, to constantly take place, to constantly keep someone in flux, or two, send them to an absolute side. Send them to an absolute, one side or another. My side, your side. My side, your side. That's what we got going on in this country. My side, your side. That's what they did to Islam. In the, I guess it would be, with the rise of the Ishmaelis. That's what they did to Islam. My side, your side. Gnostic influence guys that started to follow Ali, and your Orthodox guys that stayed with Mohammed. Mohammed's guys, they believe still, yes, conquering by the sword. Ali's guys, hey, well, maybe conquering by the sword, but we can burn some stuff down, rape some people, take them as slaves, do all these things. Even go after the people of the book. They will kill Christians and Jews too, why not? Mohammed's side, the more traditional side, protect the people of the book. You can see how Gnosticism has done so much damage just in Islam over the years. And it continues to do this. So, very interesting. As the Muslims during the 7th century. In the 7th century, as they were spreading around, not only were they spreading, but they were being subverted. They were being subverted over and over and over again. To finally, you got this guy, I think it's Abdullah ibn Saba. Abdullah ibn Saba, and he this is the first guy that starts talking about a future imam. All right, this is the first one that starts talking about a Mahdi. The very first one that comes up, and he says, "But part of this Part of this, we got to overthrow the caliphate. We got to overthrow the royalty. We have to get rid of this. I got a good friend Joe. He's done all kind of work on bloodlines and stuff, and you can even see bloodlines in here. You can even see bloodlines because it gets into the whole idea of this. Who was it? The wife of Ali, who was the descendant of the prophet Fatima. So you see that they get into all this mysticism, all these things. So you have your Fatimite, your Fatimite dynasty, which is from Fatima, and now this comes about, I think, in early 900s A.D. And she married into this family. They conquered Egypt, established a center in Cairo. Now this is very interesting. I've gone into this stuff and talked to people about it before on here, but this is very interesting because this is where you see now this big temple. This abode of Cairo, the Grand University of Cairo. This was, shall we say, not necessarily some big mosque or anything. This Lodge of Cairo contained all kinds of books from all over the place, all kinds of scientific instruments. The whole idea that was studied there was science. So it was to seem. So it seemed. Of course, Abdul ibn Saba, he had set up the whole 9-degree system of Ishmaelism. The whole 9-degree system, which eventually they found out, hey, all that stuff is BS. You're God. Do what thou wilt. That is the whole of this thing. Do what thou wilt. These concepts. We can just take the Islam away. If we look at modern day culture in this world, in this country, the way it's changed over the past few decades. This is what they've done to us, man. They've taken, as I've said, they've taken us through a societal initiation. They have taken us through a societal initiation because they could not bring about demoralization and breakdown of family and everything immediately. They had to indoctrinate us. And then when we finally get to the end, they say, oh, well, you're God. You're God. As long as we let you be. Remember, there's always the Grand Master. There's always the most holy master. But,
The God of your neighborhood, but then we have the God above you, and then we have the God above him.
But you want to talk about politics, man. You have certain leaders that popped up that try to suppress Ishmaelism, but no, you still had these guys continued just with different secret societies, and that's what led to the assassins. That's what eventually led to the assassins, and they perfected it. They did what Weishaupt did with all the different secret societies in Europe. They perfected it. They brought it into, as the Eastern Ishmaelis, they brought it into a new kind of idea. A new kind of idea where certain earlier incarnations, not necessarily of the assassins, but say the Karmathites. These guys were just outright bloody. Outright bloody. They were ISIS of the time. People can look up the Karmathites. Look up the Karmathites. They were ISIS of the time. Everything, they would. I guarantee these guys that join ISIS, I guarantee they give all their belongings that they have with them to whoever's running the show, and then they get distributed as they need said. This is usually the way organized crime works. This is usually the way this works.
If you have more than the boss, that can't be, man. Can't have more than the boss.
Can't have more than the boss ever. The boss will take care of your part. Don't worry about it. So yeah, these Karma, they were basically ISIS at the time. Raid areas, rape their women, take their women as slaves, kill all the men, so forth and so on. Same thing that was embodied with the assassins, but they made it more of a style. Do you know that the assassins, during the time of Richard, what we know is Richard the Lionheart, do you know that he actually hired them to kill certain royalty, especially one French dignitary in Europe? It was well known. These guys could be in they could be in any government, an advisor, anywhere, at any time. There was such a fear that they knew, the assassins are around. They could be anywhere, anytime, in order to hear what you're doing and put you to death. Few accounts, too, of different leaders around that world in that area, as far as the Middle East, Persia, Europe, of little daggers being left on their pillow, and they learned. They learned. There was one imam that was very, very outspoken against them, and he was told he'd never say anything again about them. And he never said anything again about him. But when he was when he was asked a question, why, about them and everything, he goes, and why to remain quiet? He goes, because their arguments are quite pointed. He emphasized
I'll be
pointed.
dead if I say anything. Yes.
Yeah, he emphasized pointed. So these guys were the mob of the day. They were the mob of the day, just like Manzini's guys were the mob of the day, and they went on to become what we know as the mafia. There's always...
and then went on to become known as the United States government after that.
Yeah, I mean, that's what the Jacobins were. The Jacobins were a bunch of mobsters.
Yep.
If you really want to look at it, the way everything works, they were the mobsters. All kinds of little groups under their control, doing what they want them to, but... yeah, man, and you can find always secret societies. You can find them being the root of organized crime. They're always the root of organized crime, or they control organized crime. The drug trade. Gosh, the drug trade, so much cooperation between what I've called the Grand Orient and the Grand Lodge back in the 1800s especially, where we can see it, hard documentation from history. The Sicily. You realize Sicily was... Who helped get Sicily and take it over? Well, that would be Garibaldi, 33rd degree Freemason Garibaldi, and made sure and took lots of Manzini's boys with him down there. So yes, that was where the mafia, young Italy, and many older young Italy members who went on to be what you would call Grand Orient Lodge members. These guys. Now, why was that set up there? This was a drug hub. Excuse me. This was a drug hub for the English Masonry, the British East Indian Company, the drug dealers of the world. Got to bring that opium around, man. Mm-hmm. Got to bring that opium around. I've talked about how Adriano Lemmi, one of Manzini's successors, Pike allowed him to come into New Orleans and start bringing opium into this country. It's just amazing. The same time all this is going on, you have England selling morphine to the north and the south. Their drug houses are selling morphine to the north and the south. So what happens?
Efficient that way.
Yeah. So what happens? What happens right after this? Now you've got a country full of addicts. You got a bunch of addicts. Hey, sealing up that lost leg wasn't so easy back then. Doing all it didn't work. People wanted something for pain, and
Sure.
That's what they took, and a lot of them became addicted to the morphine powders. So let's bring the hard stuff in. This has always been the modus operandi of the drug trade. You will see. You will see. There's always a succession. First, like when you see drug dealers start moving in, first they'll sell the cocaine, then they'll sell the meth, and then they will bring in the heroin. Or in our day and time, we have such opiates. As far as the pills go, it's not even the heroin anymore. Isn't it interesting how they made it now? First they brought in the Ritalin and the Adderall. Then they brought in the psychotropics, the SSRI drugs and stuff. And then they brought in Oxycontin and all this stuff that kids get off the street. It's amazing, man, how they perfected their game. They have perfected their game. Their drug houses just do it straight. You don't get the Italian mob to bring it into the port in New Orleans anymore. They just do it straight up now. They are the drug. This is the British. It's not their name, of course, but this is the British East Indian Company, the drug dealers of the world, but they're called Big Pharma. Once again, another way that they get us twisted with the dialectic. You cannot get any better unless you take our drugs. You cannot be any better. I knew this guy back in, it's been a couple of decades ago, and he studied reptiles. He had a degree in studying reptiles. Different places would pay him to go places. He was down in the rainforest. I forgot what country it was. It was either northern South America or Central America. I can't remember which country, so I'm not going to say exactly what right area. But the poison dart frog. The poison dart frog. Do you know that there's a substance in the venom of the poison dart frog that if they used it, if they manufactured it, It has no addictive qualities. It also has none of those qualities of getting rid of pain that make people, nod out and not know what they're doing and stuff like that. It just takes care of the pain. No addictive qualities, kills the pain. No, what would you say, inebriating qualities. No,
But it's illegal, or?
It's not even used, man. It's not even used. It's there. It's known about it. It's known about, but it's not used. I mean, what about the cancer-fighting agents of cannabis? My gosh.
Mm-hmm.
What doctor's going to prescribe that? What doctor's going to put people through that?
A whole lot here in Michigan.
Yeah, I know, but as a whole around the country, it's just not.
We're actually going to legalize it next year. It looks like it's going to make it on the ballot.
Well, they found a way to still get your money.
Oh no, that's the point. I've been
I know.
that for weeks, man. Like, yeah, okay, let's just legalize it. That's great. That means you need a license, you dummy.
Indeed, you're on the hook now. It's nothing special. Now you're on the hook.
Great.
You're on the hook for something else.
I need a license to smoke pot. I like it better illegal then.
Yeah, it's but isn't it amazing that they work people on that one? That's one of the nuttiest things I watch. Is how they work.
Ran out of things to tax, Robert.
I know, but how they work people that people I know that have always said, I want it. I believe it's just a plant. You should be able to, they express that sentiment. I believe it's a plant. There's a lot more harmful plants you can grow legally. It's just a plant. It grows there. It should not be messed with. Okay. But then they cheer for someone that says, hey, we're going to give you a privilege. We're going to give you a privilege now. We're going to give you permission to do it. We didn't give it to you before, but we'll give it to you now. No. This isn't how things are supposed to work. Suddenly see the legislation of right and wrong. Because obviously there is, I know it's not the reason, but obviously there's a belief that it's wrong if it's illegal, right, John?
Oh, of course.
So now they're deciding everything is okay. Everything's okay. You don't have to worry about it. You can smoke it now. We're not going to say anything about it. No stigma, nothing like that. Well, we might use you as a scapegoat. It's all those marijuana growers out there that are depleting the water. It's all those marijuana. In California, it's their fault. Have you seen those articles? Yeah, it's the pot growers' fault.
Of course, it's ridiculous.
Yeah, people are insane.
It's depleting the water. The one biggest is it's their social programs when they should have been spending that money on desalinization plants for 50 years.
Thank you.
And stuff like that.
Instead of their stupid little programs they come up with. Constantly stupid little.
I have to go to another customer service phone line and have to type one for English, I'm going to scream. That's all I know. I know that's a separate thing, but it's the same thing. Come on.
It's outsourcing. Ralph Epperson's talked about this before. It's outsourcing. Mm-hmm. You put as much money as you possibly can outside of the country and make sure it never comes back. That's why we don't drill oil here in this country. That's why we don't produce. So you could produce oil from the hemp seed and convert it to fuel. That's why we don't do that in this country. We do not want, not we, not you, not me, but those in power of this country, they want to break it. That's how I think they've watched, man. Remember, they're the perfectionist. They watch like, okay, that Bolshevik revolution thing, that's not going to work. Mm-hmm. People have seen that. That's not going to work. We got enough people to do it, but we need to slowly subvert them. Maybe we'll let, of course, they'll let everything go. That's what I'm saying. When you see everything finally go into chaos, they've allowed it to go into chaos, and that means that they have all their ducks in a row and they're ready to go. They got all their ducks in a row and they're ready to go. They're ready to.
I don't know how much more chaos they can allow to happen before it all goes, because it seems pretty chaotic as it is.
They want mass disorder. They want mass disorder. They've always wanted mass disorder. Mass disorder allows them to come in and scoop up the reins of power and pretend that there's somebody else now. Few more restrictions. Hey, we're going to put some restrictions on this, but it's for your freedom. It's for your safety. We want you to be free, but we also want you to be safe. Can't ever have another thing like that. Hey, we'll make a League of Nations. Oh, gosh, it happened again. We'll make a UN. oh my gosh, it's going to happen again. We're going to have a, what's next? What's
yeah, that's
next?
what I was thinking. Is there's probably a third incarnation to the UN League of Nations in the not so distant future.
If we had a world war, yes, there would be. It will be time for the veil to come off that one and a new veil to go on.
Just in time, the third one.
Yeah.
That's how I see it too. Whatever's going to happen in the not so distant future, it's going to cause a new resetting of the UN League of Nations idea.
Pike to Manzini said, we'll show all the atrocities in the world, not the exact words, but we'll show all the atrocities, just the chaos and the bloodshed these guys can cause. And then people will stand up and annihilate them, and then those people will bring into the fold.
Right, and a good portion of them will be dead fighting back against the powers that be on top of it. So they get some of their population reduction at the same time.
Of course, they always in all their work and all their writings. Some of them, such as a lot of your Jackman writings and individuals from pre-French Revolution, Manzini, they don't have a problem with violent revolution. Some of them, such as a more recent writer, R.C. Clymer, the Rosicrucian writer from the late 1800s, early 1900s, and Heindel, another one from that time. You will see them. They talk about bringing together this new world order. Bringing together this new world order. They say it without violence, if possible. If possible.
Yeah, well, I think decided
Weishaupt said
it can't be that way.
All right, guys, we'll be right back here in just a few minutes. Right here on Waking Up the Masses on Truth Frequency Radio. Hang in there.
Joe Joseph here for Truth Frequency Radio. According to allgov.com, since 9/11, a total of 238 Americans have died from a terrorist attack. That's 24 a year, making your chance of dying 1 in 625,000. Conversely, you have a 1 in 1,000 chance of becoming a victim of police brutality. Yet we spend trillions of dollars on the war on terror while militarizing an abusive police force. TruthRadio.com, we have a team of the very best personalities in independent media. A team that's dedicated to bringing you reliable and rock-solid news and information so you can arm yourself with knowledge and join the fight against worldwide oppression and tyranny. Truth Frequency Radio. News without the hate, hype, and fear.
Doctors don't want you to know about iodine because it allows the body to heal itself quickly and permanently. Iodine Now is a complete powder formulation that will load iodine into the body with vitamin C for the best possible absorption. Iodine Now, available by the case and for protection from radiation, fluoride, chlorine, and bromine, including all heavy metals. We believe that this is the main element that humans need more than any other at this time. This formulation is infused with our bioactive aerobic rare earth nutrient powder that has a powerful negative charge that attracts positive toxins. Why not buy one product that does the job of 20 and saves you space, time, and money? Has a storage life of 100 years, all for about $18 a month. Call 888-910-4367 or visit hempusa.org. Call 888-910-4367. Bringing back the universal medicine for mankind. Iodine Now, only at hempusa.org.
Here at MyPatriotSupply.com, our customers are number one. Built on a self-sustaining business model, we don't owe our existence to big banks or big business. Instead, the company was built by you, the customer. The success of My Patriot Supply is a testimony to the loyalty and dedication of each and every one of you, to our old-fashioned values and top-rated customer service. These elements alone have made us the number one choice of patriots everywhere. We believe that being prepared should not be a luxury reserved by people with large disposable incomes, which is why we have the products you need at the prices you can afford. We bring you our Patriot Pantry brand of storable food, which features top-of-the-line flavors and carefully packed to store for 25 years. plus water purification systems, non-GMO heirloom seeds, survival gear, and much, much more. Visit MyPatriotSupply.com or call 866-229-0927. That's 866-229-0927. MyPatriotSupply.com.
Enemy Within Radio with Tom Barnes and Tommy Woodgate. Saturdays on Truth Frequency Radio.
And welcome back to Waking Up the Masses right here on TruthFrequencyRadio.com. Don't forget, guys, right after this segment and after the break, you'll have the Kev Baker Show coming up. So make sure and tune into that. Mr. LeBang, welcome back, sir.
Thank you, sir. Living through a massive tsunami. That rain is here.
You got your downpour now.
It's here,
huh?
man. Yeah, it's coming down.
Yeah, it's come down so hard here. We have flooding in the area.
Yeah, I was gonna say I might have to get my canoe out.
I hear you, man. Go by and pick up 2 of everything. So
I got 2 pennies, and that's about it. So.
Yeah, 2 flies, 2 butterflies. You'll find some stuff.
I'll leave the flies.
Well, you can't. Now remember, just in case you're riding down the road, you have some kind of wreck or anything. Just woman blames coffee drinking parrot for car crash.
Coffee drinking parrot.
Yeah, the nutty things that you do in the mainstream media that they put out there, so you won't pay attention to the other things that you really should. Yeah, those little bites they put in. That's why I call that one side the TMZ of right-wing stuff. But what was it? Troopers from Uniontown, Pennsylvania, say 35-year-old woman was driving on South Union Road just before 5 p.m. when she noticed the bird pecking at the lid on her coffee cup. She said. Polly did. Yeah. What are you doing riding around with a parrot in your car? What the heck, man? I've had several big dogs.
Bring your dogs. Why can't she bring her parrot?
She can. But you know what? I never let them influence my driving. If I did, I would wreck. So maybe it's bona fide, man. I won't make fun of the poor woman. She broke her arm, so it is what it is. Maybe she needs some nootropics. Maybe some brain drugs so she could get it done. Pay attention. Nootropic brain drug popularity for today's cutthroat climbers. Excess is out, efficiency is in. Welcome to the world of nootropics. Yes.
Is that Soma? Is that possibly Soma there?
Soma was the drug in as far as in the Brave New World. Soma goes back to Hinduism and the Vedas and stuff like that. But in the Brave New World, Soma was the thing that people took, sort of to completely tune out and become zombies. Now, nootropic brain drugs are supposed to have an effect that makes you smarter. It says, Andrew started, I'll read the little first few paragraphs of this. Andrew started his college graduation day at 6 a.m. with a wakefulness agent called modafinil, sometimes known as Provigil. It was the first time he remembers nootropic brain drugs having such a startling effect. He was juggling family and celebrations along with 2 ceremonies, engineering in the morning and economics in the afternoon, with a band competition in between, which you want. For 22 waking hours, he was happy, alert, firing on all cylinders, oblivious of any fatigue. I bet you we could find some meth heads like this. See, here's the whole thing about this. Like with the Adderall and Ritalin, it's like bona fide. You've made a synthetic, sort of upgraded meth, but you're telling the kids, yes, this will keep you from being hyperactive. Have you ever seen a meth head? You ever seen one of them people that's like they will not quit? Get one to clean your house. They'll be on the ground picking up lint and scrubbing little places that don't exist. They'll clean. I mean, they concentrate on something and they do it. That's what they're doing. That's what they did to these children. Give them speed. They'll concentrate and do it. As they get older, oh God, they're depressed. Give them something else. They won't be depressed.
Keep giving them stuff, man. Keep giving it. They'll be
Yeah,
all right.
yeah. You get old, and then you get into your 40s and 50s, and all your good feelings just completely drained out of your brain. So therefore, maybe you have some sexual inadequacies. Take another one. Hey, get older, take
Blue
another
pill.
one. Yes, just keep taking pill after pill. It's what we've been designed to do. It's amazing. It's amazing. Is it at this point? Is it at this point? It was like, holy crap, this stuff can be very powerful. Now that he's a corporate strategist working with healthcare companies on their mergers, Andrew, who requested we use a pseudonym, will sometimes call upon some chemical assistance for business trips, requiring long flights, client meetings, back-to-back dinners, and work hours back at the hotel. He doesn't want to peddle the metal. He doesn't want to peddle the metal amphetamine. He wants focus, creativity, and clarity without the side effects of dependencies. When he began, he started with experimenting with little-known chemicals like, what is this one? Pyrostam, a cognition booster, before adding other vitamins and herbs, carefully measuring out milligrams along the way. As his alertness and focus increased, he kept a Google Doc to share the results with his friends. Why did we not need these things in the past? I just have a good, it's a basic question, man. Why did we not need these things in the past?
You answer it, man.
Yeah.
I'm shaking my head over here.
Because we have a dumbed-down society that, as I began the show talking about, that falls in a ditch because they can't take their eyes off of a smartphone.
Mm-hmm.
They can't take their eyes. Yeah, you're just jacking yourself up, man. You call it whatever you want. You call it neurotropics. You call it whatever you want. You're just jacking yourself up. I got a neurotropic for the radio show here. It's called coffee. So I guess we all have little things we do, but these things, man, they're just jacking themselves up. I do agree with certain health things that we can use that do help our mind work better. I've used pure, not the stuff that you'll buy in the store sometimes that just watered down and everything, but real good. I've used ginkgo before. Excellent, man. Brings about an alertness. I'm not up for 2 hours, which I don't want to be up for 22 hours. I'm not up for 22 hours, but hey, you can see that you get a certain stimulation. You can understand how this would be used. I can drink a glass of orange juice in the morning, and I notice my brain wake up and stuff like that. There's all kind of things in our diet. If we had a normal diet, if we went back to the way we're supposed to eat in a healthy way, in whatever manner anyone wants to do it, because I know some people don't want to eat, some people do want to eat meat, but if we went back to eating a natural way, we would take in the things in our environment that do this. The great thinkers of our time, those that have controlled things behind the scene that are great thinkers but not necessarily great people, they didn't need neurotropics. They had innovation. Mm-hmm. They had innovation. They had
but there's
drive.
no innovation left.
No, you're exactly right. You're getting it right.
It's copying off of somebody else. Is what you're doing and expanding.
It's those things that cause us to trip up. Flattery, laziness, narcissism. All these things have people believing that they are becoming advanced, when in reality, we're script readers. We're script readers and people that can't spell. Really, that's all it boils down to. We repeat things, we hear things, we repeat things. We're a slogan-based society.
Yep.
I mean, how many times?
Secret societies wanted us.
Exactly. They want us to say just a few words, understand just a little bit of veiled meaning behind them, but not too much, and run with it. I truly, this is what I noticed, man. Anytime we talk substance, as far as substances we put in our body, and when you start seeing little flashes of things pop up, like, oh yeah, this, little articles, usually this becomes a trend on down the road. It's the process of the mind control media. This becomes a trend down the road. So what will you have? This little narcissistic, lazy group that wants to flatter themselves because they believe by taking a pill they're going to be smarter than you. See, that's what they're going to believe. They're going to believe, oh, I'm doing this, I can be smarter than you. When it really, we've been dumbed down. I'm truly heartbroken a lot of times when I look at society. This is my fellow species. How can a pack survive if nobody wants to hunt? How can a pack survive if no one wants to take care of the children? How can a pack survive if no one will defend it? See, or a herd. A herd, graze, blah, blah, blah. Whatever you want to be, man. I think we tend to be more pack animals as humans, not herd animals. Herd animals are the ones that are easily picked off.
They've turned us into herd animals.
That's it. They've turned us. They've done the equivalent of what we've done to our dogs, huh? We feed them a bunch of cornmeal and stuff in their food, whereas that one time they used to be carnivores completely. Maybe eat a little herb, grass to do something for their stomach, but carnivores completely. So we've turned them into corn-fed slaves.
I don't know. My dog used to love cucumbers. She would pick them right off the vine. I'd be out there working. Next thing I know, she had a cucumber.
Oh, man, my big white dog, he'll destroy a pumpkin. I'm serious. He'll destroy. I grow these pumpkins. They're called Seminole pumpkins. They're an old heirloom from the Seminole tribe down in. They grew wild at one time all through Florida. 100 years plus ago. They've been wiped out. I think the only place you can find them growing wild is in certain big swamps and areas. But super sweet. You can almost see when they get to their ripeness. You can almost see the sugar seeping out. I have watched him take his paw and just destroy one, like I'm getting to that sweet goodness in the middle. Yeah.
Dogs are great. That's all I know.
What's that?
I said dogs are great. That's all I know.
But we've turned them into something that they originally weren't. They've turned man into something. We can have our nostalgia of being the hunter-gatherer in the wilderness and all these things, but we're not that. We are not that. Could we ever get back to that strength and agility? See, that's what I'm talking about. If you want to see how dumbed down man is, look at how he has evolved. Well, I'm not talking about the physical evolution, but the way he does things. At one time, it was a head-on thing. You ran that spear into. They say a lot of in Neanderthal bones and a lot of the Cro-Magnon bones, you see injuries that would be similar to a rodeo rider. These guys had guts. They didn't flatter themselves. They didn't sit there and come up with some little idea or anything like that. They had an idea, but they became innovative over time. They said, let's make it sharper. Perhaps we can throw it. Perhaps we can do this. And then somebody come along and say, hey, let's round them all up and make them breed. And then we can make these guys pay us for it. Nah, let's make everybody pay us for it. I'll be the only one that owns the gazelle. I'll be the only one that owns the gazelle. Make sure I'll go around and take over all the land so it can't graze anymore. I'm just being hypothetical, man. You had someone that came in there and screwed up the system. He thought he was smarter than everyone else. And he was, actually, in a diabolical way. He thought outside the grain, sort of like you hear about Nimrod. Nimrod waged war on people like they had never been waged before, conquering war rather than tribal war. He waged war on these people in this way. They didn't know what to do. You're getting overran by these guys coming through. You're getting completely overran, so it's something different. The rise of Babylon. Tower of Babel may have fell, but Babylon never fell. Babylon never fell. We still live in these controlled situations where we, for a little bit of enjoyment, we give up our freedom. For a little bit of security, we give up our freedom. Hey, for a little bit of leisure. How about some leisure and, just get completely out of it? Maybe some sex, maybe rock and roll. We'll give up our freedom. We don't realize we're doing it. I'm not saying rock and roll is a bad thing, or sex is a bad thing, any of those things, but we tend to make them into, that pantheon of the little gods we worship. They tend to be things that we do worship. They taught us to worship. Remember the 80s, man? You grew up in the 80s, too. Remember the 80s? Mm-hmm. They were trying to get us to run after women. Like crazy.
Oh, no doubt.
I was going to run after girls anyway, okay? I was a teenager. I was going to run after girls anyway, but no. They beat it home, man. Let's just say it wasn't as risque. Let's just say it wasn't as risque as things they do today. But they did influence us. They made it all about, gotta have sex, gotta have sex, gotta have sex. That's not even.
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
I was gonna say, in a mere 30 years, they had us from chasing women to now chasing men.
You can chase men if you want to, John.
I'm just saying. That's what they're trying to do. That's all.
I won't hold it against you.
I'm not.
No.
It's okay. I like girls.
Oh, but no. So yeah, exactly. Exactly. We everything just gets First it's accelerated, then it's turned upside down. As anybody that listens, they can see, I look deep at the psychology of the world, of what we've become. Would you not agree, man? We've become lazy, and we've become narcissistic, and we've become cowards. That's the biggest thing. We make decisions that we flatter ourselves and say, oh, I'm smart, or I am so, I can work with people, and I can do this and that. And really, in the end, no, you've decided to compromise your own ideas and morals and be a coward. I never want those people that sit there and say they believe that gay marriage is immoral and beat their Bibles and everything. I don't want to shut them up. Let them say it as long as they want. At the same time, the other side, let them do what they want.
Yeah, as long as they're not beating the other people, destroying them over it, you can talk all about whatever you want. Whatever they care.
But the way they, using the whole concept of absolutism that comes into play.
Oh, I know. It's ridiculous.
Both sides, one side's a bunch of old guys that need to just die out. The other side is a bunch of immoral people that are going to go to hell. See, these are this becomes the view of both sides looking at each other. Like I said, man, I worry for my fellow species. I worry so much for my fellow species when I look out there, because we really have to. We talked about the family earlier. We got to get back to the whole family, man. We have to get back to the whole family. The father has to be input into the family.
It's
can't be the
ways
norm
from being there, though, bro. Because
I know.
They've
Oh
done
gosh,
so well. They've done a fabulous job, if you want to call it fabulous, at destroying the image of a man on top of the family.
Oh, you're not kidding. You're not kidding. As I said the other day, everybody knows the word misogyny. How many people know the word misandry? Means the same thing. It's just for the male gender. Not many people know that word, but they all know misogyny. We're all these brutish. This is what gets me. We're all these brutish guys that are just going around raping and stupid. And this is the image that's presented. This is unless you're that new, dumbed down, sissified man, then you're okay. Yeah, you're okay. You don't want to say your own opinions. You just shut up. Okay, I believe that. You do this, but no. The strong man, the upright man, the true upright man,
The
is
alpha male kind of guy.
Well, just not even that. Just the man that says what he means, and he wants to, and he doesn't believe in giving up his morals. He doesn't believe in letting someone encroach on his freedom, and he'll do whatever he has to do to make sure that doesn't happen. This is seen as bad. This is a whole bad thing now. You can't be strong. Good God! And see what gets me as they sit there and they belittle males. As they sit there and they belittle the media, how they belittle males. And it's like, here's the common sense. And trust me, a disclaimer. I don't believe this. I would not want like this. But if all men decided yesterday that we didn't like equal rights, would it be gone? It would be gone, wouldn't it? If what they say, I'm using their logic, okay?
Right.
I'm using their logic.
Put up with it and it'd just be done.
I'm using their logic. If we all wanted to go to like some extremist, let's say extremist Sharia law, and you got to wear veils and everything. If we all decided that, that's the way it would be. Obviously, since we're brutish rapists and everything.
But that happens. That's for every single agenda out there.
Indeed.
You can go, well, it doesn't matter what it is. If they've taken the man and weakened him against everything, but then they've also done that with race, and without the white man, we'd be doing all right. Really? Okay. I mean, what the heck is skin color have to do with anything? And I could rant for an hour. I better stop.
Yeah. We only have a few minutes left here. I got a dog doing a crazy dance on the floor over here. I don't know what that was about. But
I am getting one this summer, Robert. I'm looking.
A crazy dance?
No, a dog.
Oh, no.
I could do a crazy dance for you right now. But
no, you're good.
See it on the radio.
Nah, I wouldn't see it. It's okay. You're good. But yeah, man, we have an upside down society, and I really, it's been a generational programming. That's really the interesting thing, is this has been a generational programming. It's not just like the media's come out and done this. It's been they prepare.
It's multi-generational.
Yes, as they prepared over a century for the French Revolution. as they prepared during the 18th century for what eventually became the Reign of Terror. They've done this now. Slowly take the family apart. Slowly get everybody into government compulsory education. Slowly, where everything... Slowly, take the family apart, get the father out, demoralize the man. Tell the woman there's no morals. Do what thou wilt. That's the extent of the law now. It's okay. It's okay. You can just do that. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter.
Somebody be there to pay for it.
I'm not a prude, and I'm not some moralist by any means. It's just what has happened now. There seems to be no compass. There we go. There's no compass in someone's head that they even have to go against. Hey, I'm still a young guy. But I remember being younger. I was a dog at times during my 20s and 30s, man. I was a bad man. But at the same time, I had that thing in my head that said, you're being a bad man. Robert, you're being a bad man. You're not supposed to do that. So I had a compass. I knew. There's no compass now. I guess that's my thing. By now, what's come up, there's no compass as far as morals. There's no moral compass. There is a lot of fear. They've been born into a system where constant perpetuation of fear. I'm not saying the news was...
Constant.
Yes, I'm not saying the news told us the truth back in the 70s and 80s, but they told us good things, man. They'd save those bad things, like for the end, or maybe the middle, they'd give you, you could see they were really disturbed by having to tell you about somebody dying or something like that. Now it's like, with a smile.
Up on the news, right?
Yeah, with a smile. Hey, this guy got a grenade launched up his butt and he blew up. and now let's see what's going on with the weather. It's like, wow. There's no compassion. Everything has just completely been taken away. And this younger generation, I'm talking about teenagers on down now. They've been born into high school teenagers, let's say on down. They've been born into a society that they lack any kind of human compassion. They don't understand the power of the family, the pack, because there's not one there. There's not one there. So therefore, what are they going to do? It's going to be a perpetuation of the previous situation. And that next generation, that's the one they really get to get. That's the one they really get their hands on. That generation that's going to come from these young people that are teenagers right now. It's the final, I would say now this one's dumbed down enough, but that is finally the one that they really, in this country, looking in this country, in America, that will be the one they finally are able to sink their teeth into. All the fear that will be...
pretty sunk, my friend. I
don't know
think
how
about
much
all
further
they need to sink.
Well, think about all the fear that's been perpetuated in the teenager of today, the older teenager of today that's had to see 9/11 as a little kid. School shootings, this, that, and the other thing. Oh, the evil ISIS. They're going to perpetuate so much fear and so much and so much cowardice to the next generation. I'm not saying all. I'm talking about the programmed mind. Those with the programmed mind that go along to get along and keep playing in the whole political system and think it's actually real. Think because they vote on genitalia or melanin, something different's going to happen.
The political system is real, my friend. It's really bad.
What if we decided? Hey, now, as we're going to have, we want a male to run for president. I don't want anybody unless you got a penis. I don't want you there. I don't want you there. See, that's the whole thing. It's illogical discussion.
I'll take up the mantle for you. You want me to run on just that, just for the fun of it?
Yeah, you can call yourself the phallus party.
Oh my goodness! I think we have a plan going here, Fred.
Yeah. Call it the party of the proud of bliss. I don't care. I'm just saying.
The Schmeckel party.
There you go. I'm just saying. This is it's the logic that goes along with it does not compute. There's none there. But this is what it's all about. All we need. No learned discourse. Just those words. Liberty, fraternity, equality. Women, women, women. Black, black, black. Hate, 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 love, love, love. Love's good, man. I want to throw that one in there. That's good.
Yeah, but the love they talk about isn't love.
No, the love they talk about is it's funny. The love that, I remember Bill Cooper examining this. The love that the socialist talks about when they're talking about all these things is the love of money. The love of your money. That is that love. It's the love of your money. Not
power. Yes.
Yeah, hey, that's because you're the oppressor. And that's what I understand. I know some intelligent socialists that actually don't believe. They take on the concept of, it could be done in a community, but everybody in the community would have to agree to it, and they would also have to work, and people would actually, have the ability to excel and stuff. I understand some of the concepts they get into, because really what they're talking about is a form of tribalism. But the modern day socialist believes in the government program. The modern-day socialist is the Marxist that believes in the government program, that believes in taking from the rich and giving to the poor. A lot of those people that are rich, the only reason, if you want to call them that, the only reason and it's interesting how they keep dropping the bar as far as what's rich, they maintain that money sometimes by having to constantly keep working their butts off. Mm-hmm. By constantly keep having to work their butts off. That's how they maintain. That's how they move forward.
Some of those people who would be called rich are really superiorly in debt.
Uh-huh.
They look rich.
Or the money is like, he brings in this much money. How many employees does he have? Does he pay? And how much does he have left at the end of the day?
Right.
Yeah, it does. It's amazing. But see, once again, into that whole Gnostic ideas, dualistic ideas that were perpetuated during over 1,000 years, and even way, way back before then. But our modern day paradigm of the European and, let's just say, Asian one, or Middle Eastern one. This perpetuation through dualistic and Gnostic ideas, the fact that matter is evil. See, it was easy to perfect this over time, because that matter can become wealth. That matter can become the church, because the church is a symbol of oppression. Oh, the church wants to oppress you. It wants to put you down. It's not good for you. Over and over, man. Over and over they find it's point out the bad thing and let them destroy it. Let them cause the downfall, the putrefaction. They can be the second degree guys. They can cause the putrefaction. And then we'll raise it up. We'll raise it up again, and eventually we'll let them tear it down again. It's like they view mankind as a destructive child. Like they view mankind as a destructive child that has no mind, but so he can be manipulated, he can be used.
And give him a temper tantrum every once in a while.
That's it. All right, guys, we'll see you Monday here on Waking Up the Masses, right here on Truth Frequency Radio. Hang in there for the Kev Baker Show coming up next.